Okay, moving on. I am going to talk about LIFO now, which is last in, first out, meaning the last or the most recent purchases will be the costs that we assign to goods that we are selling today. And then as we continue to use up our layers of inventory, we're going to go further, further, and further back in time. So we're sort of taking the most recent and assigning those to our costs. So it's the same data, okay? Um, we have actually, it looks like it's a little bit different. In this particular example, we have 400 units with a cost of $4. Then on January 9th, we purchased 90 more units for a cost of $420. So I always crack up about that number. Anyway, and then we have purchased 120 units on January 25th for a cost of $4.30. So as we start selling these, we're going to sell the 120 units first that we purchased on January 25th for a cost of $4.30 a piece. And I'm not saying we're physically going to sell those specific units. I'm saying we're going to sell any particular group of units, but we're going to assign the $4.30 to any particular unit that we're selling. Okay, so the way that looks. Again, we're going to start with our beginning balance. The number of units that we have is 410. And then the cost per unit is $4. And I love how this software does the math for us. Okay, so on January 9th, we purchased, how many did we purchase? 90. So we purchased 90 and the cost was $420. And there we go. Okay. And it even does this for us. It says, hey, listen, you have a row of inventory, right? We have 90 units. Sorry. We have 410 units. Very important. 410 units at $1 a piece. Why is this not? Oh, 2 decimal places required. 90 units? Why am I? There we go. At $4 a piece. That was the first layer that came in. So we want to list that first. And then we have 90 units at $4.20. Man, 90 at $4.20. And check it out. There is oh, this is my problem right here. The cost is $4.20. I entered it incorrectly, but now we got it. So the first layer that we had 400 units. Man, I'm killing myself here. We had 410 units. Man, are we not confused now? 410 units at $4 a piece. That was the first layer we had from January 1st. Then we just purchased 90 units. Each one costs us $420. So that's the second layer. Okay. Now we can do the third layer, and hopefully I do the data inputs right. We do 120 units, and the cost per unit is $4.30. Now we have 3 rows. Again, we're going to start with the top row, 410 units at $4 a piece, 90 units at $4.20, and 120 units at, man, 120 units. Okay, now we're going to start selling. And the problem is telling us that we are going to sell 450 units. and we will have 170 units left over. Okay, so if I'm going to sell 450 units and I'm using last in, first out, the first group of units that I'm going to sell are the ones that were at $4.30. Last in, first out. So I'm going to sell all 120 of these. Then I still have to get to 450, so I'm going to sell everything out of this. Man, killing me. I'm going to sell everything out of that second layer. So now I've sold a total of 210, and I have to get to 450. I think that means that I need to sell another 240 units. So I will sell 240 units from this bucket, which means I don't have anything left in the first bucket, right? Remember, we have 120 units. We sold 120 units, and therefore we have nothing left. The second layer, I had 90 units. I just said we sold all 90 of those, and so I have none in this bucket. And then finally, I had 410. I sold 240, which means I have remaining, you're correct, I can't do that in my head, 170. And I think we want to check to make sure we're right. So remember, we were saying beginning inventory plus all of our purchases, beginning inventory plus all of our purchases. That is going to be everything that we have available to us. And everything that we have available to us is either going to go into cost of goods sold, or it will be in ending inventory. So if I go back to the question, I believe we had 410 units at $4 a piece. Then we purchased 90 units for $420, and then another 120 for $430. This is everything we had available to us. This is beginning plus the two purchases. And if I just go down to January 25th, after we purchased that second group, I think we're saying we have available to us $2,534 worth of inventory. And our conclusion is 1,854 goes to cost of goods sold, and 680 remains in ending inventory, right? The middle columns are where we keep track of the costs, cost of goods sold, I should say. The initial column is where we keep track of purchases. And then this first row up here in our inventory is where we keep track of our beginning balance. So 680 plus 1854 should get us to 2534. I think that's a safe check to make sure that we're doing this question right. I'm going to check it. Oh, nice. Very good. Okay, so that's last in, first out.